Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. If you love teaching but want more out of life, Joanne Kaminski can help. Joanne, thanks for being with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We're going to have a lot of fun because, as I said to you, I started out as a teacher way back when, and you've written a book, How to Start an Online Tutoring Business. And I think the subtitle is Making 4 to 5 Figures a Month, which is very enticing. So we want to hear from you. How did this book come about, though?
It came about from my own experience of starting my own online tutoring business, and lots of people just asking me, how do you actually go about doing that? How do you get students? How do you teach online? And so what I wanted to do is give people something that they could follow to be able to get the same kind of success that I was experiencing. Now,
if I'm correct, I'm going to go back a little bit in your book. You started out, like most people in education, as a classroom teacher. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And then I think you, I'm going to say, had an epiphany, or maybe just decided you wanted to look into something else. And you're very open in the book to say you went through several different positions. So could you tell our audience a little bit about your journey?
Oh, yeah. So I ended up actually becoming ill, and I had a pain in my side, and that kind of took me out of the school system. And I had to figure out, what am I going to do now? I had 2 kids that were early on in school. I had one that was still at home, and I knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but also a work-at-home mom. So I wanted to figure out some way to work at home. And so I started 5 other businesses, but I failed at all of them. And I say failed because it's okay to fail, right? We learn a lot through our own failures, and through those other businesses, I was able to learn everything that I needed to know in order to start running this new business of mine, which was becoming a tutor. So I had tried becoming I was a network marketer, which I knew nothing about when I got started with that. And another one was I tried to start my own Etsy store because I was very creative and I love crocheting. And I thought, well, maybe people would want to buy my stuff. And I tried selling these books called Usborne books. And I had to have these house parties with people and show them these books. And it was crazy. It was like, as soon as I ran out of friends, I kind of ran out of clients and customers. So that was not a good one.
But I love that you share that with us, because one, just to be so willing to tell us about a failure in life. And just as you said, and it's so important, we all think that the overnight success is successful all the way up the ladder. And whether it's a ball player or a famous singer, actor, performer, they've all had problems in life. And some don't want to share it, and they want to pretend that they're just excellent at everything. But you're kind enough to tell us that you hit lumps in the road, but you learned from it. And that's what we want to, we want our audience to know, that it's the negatives, that the bad experiences perhaps, that we can learn so much from and help us on that road to success, because I'm sure you would accept those 5 failures anytime for the success that you're now having today.
Oh my gosh. Hands down. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what I want our audience to know is not only you've written a book, How to Start an Online Tutoring Business, and as we go through the show, they're going to learn it's not just, go out and do 5 tutoring sessions every day and make X, etc. But you actually give a game plan for people. It's like a football team walking in and saying, here's what you have to do. You talk about marketing, the mindset that people have, and we'll get into that. So you really make it easy for people if they want to make significant additional sums, or if they want to get out of the daily tutoring or teaching, or if they don't like that, your book is perfect for them.
Yeah, and absolutely.
So I'm hoping there's a lot of teachers. And by the way, as you said to me before the show, it's not just teachers. This could be carpentry. This could be fixing cars or machinery, artwork. It could be tutoring anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Tutoring doesn't have to be just the core subject areas, but any of those areas have the ability to be successful because people want to learn online now. And I think that's one of the things that we got out of the pandemic, right? People aren't scared to do things with other people online.
And, sometimes we've all had that experience of you went into a college class or high school class and the person has a wonderful resume as a teacher, but they're not a good conveyor of information. Namely, they're not a good teacher. You need that extra help, and it's a shame that someone is going to be hurt on their college exams or perhaps medical school or engineering school just because that one or two classes that they took, they didn't match up, or maybe they just didn't connect with the teacher. But by getting the tutor, they can bring themselves up to speed, they can make up for that, and they've turned negative into a positive. Yeah. I love learning from other people's mistakes, and again, you're very open to say, you actually talk about the 5 most common mistakes that tutors make. Can you kind of give us an insight into that?
Yeah, so every tutor that starts off, they think about their business from it's all about me perspective. So when they create like a website, they create a website that is geared completely towards them. So it would be like how many years I've been teaching, what are my credentials? But really, what we really need to get on into are what is your ideal client struggling with? What do they want to be able to do? And what are the types of results that you can get? So when we come at it from their point of view, you're going to have a lot better selling point than, that hire me kind of perspective, right? And you're going to stand out differently. Another thing that a mistake that tutors make is they try to price themselves too low. They think, people aren't going to want to pay a lot of money for this. And they start off pricing themselves too low, and they start going into they start going into the wrong places to try to get clients. So they'll go onto these sites where they have to pay a percentage, and now they are competing against other people. It's like a race down to the bottom, right? You're not being seen as the expert that you are, and there's other ways to be found online that you can utilize. So utilizing social media, creating content, being of value, these are things that are going to really help make you stand out compared to other tutors. And you want to be seen as an expert in the field. So another mistake that tutors make is they'll be like, well, I can tutor everything. Well, nobody is an expert in everything. And I know as an elementary teacher, that's what I was, right? I could literally tutor anything in the elementary school age, right? Because I taught it. However, people are looking for experts. People are looking for somebody that can help with those kids that have learning disabilities or are struggling, and they can take them to that next level that the school system just isn't doing for them. And there's a lot of gaps right now with the pandemic. A lot of kids are below level when it comes to where they're at educationally, and it's really pushed them behind. I know the schools are struggling to catch everybody up, and so there's a lot of need out there. Another mistake that tutors make is they try to run their business solo, all by themselves. Networking is a really huge game changer for tutors because we can network online with each other. So by being able to connect with each other, make friends with each other, help each other out, instead of seeing other people as competition, we have the opportunity to really connect with each other, help each other out, refer each other, right? And make all of our businesses easier. And the third mistake that tutors will make is thinking that, traditional methods of getting students won't work if I'm online. They still work. So being able to put flyers out there in your local area will help you to be able to get students. And again, when it comes to the marketing, just make sure that the messaging on those flyers is about your ideal client and what they're struggling with versus all about you and what you do.
And Joanne, you mentioned the time of the pandemic. At least what I'm reading about, many schools are having trouble actually getting qualified teachers. And not that other people can't teach or can learn on the job, but they're taking people without the student teaching, without the professional background. And you wouldn't do that in other things. You wouldn't say to someone, well, you can pretend to be a doctor for a few weeks or a policeman or a fireman. Lives could be in danger. Well, we're putting a gap, or perhaps a gap, in our educational life of our children for 6 months or 2 years. Not the school's fault. They're out there trying to get the best people possible. But because of the illness, because of people for safety reasons, perhaps quitting their job or feeling that there's another field better for them, tutoring is obviously working now better than ever. And if I'm right, did I get this number correct? You actually are book solid for more than 10 hours a day.
Yeah, there was a period during the pandemic, I was book solid for 10 to 12 hours a day. And I have since, it started taking a lot less students so that I can help more tutors. But yeah, for a while, I mean, there was no shortage of, there was no shortage. There is no shortage of students. I still have students that are coming towards me and I have to look to see if I have those times available for them. But we've got kids that are homeschooled kids. We've got kids that are, school-aged kids that are in school, in person. Kids everywhere are struggling and they need help.
Joanne, we want to learn more, but at this point, I want to let our audience know if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan. Today's guest is Joanne Kaminski. She's the author of a book, How to Start an Online Tutoring Business, and subtitle, Making 4 to 5 Figures a Month. Joanne, tell us where we can get the book and if there's a website where we can learn more.
Yes, absolutely. You can get the book at onlinetutorcoach.com/book-purchase.
And is there a website where we can find out more information?
Yep, you can go to onlinetutorcoach.com.
And we'll ask you that information again before the end of the show. So if someone didn't get it down or wants to get it down for their son or daughter who's a teacher or brother-in-law, they can get all that information then. Now, absolutely. I know you mentioned in the book you have a 4-step system, and that's what I really like. You make it easy for people. Of course, anybody can just say to a child, you need tutoring, and you'll pick up, I guess, 1 or 2 if you're an active teacher. But you're talking about this as really a financial business that can take you through life. So tell us about those 4 steps that you talk about in the book.
Yeah, the first step is mindset. As a teacher, I had a poverty mindset when I got started. So my mindset wasn't in the right place to be successful in business. And so I did a lot of personal development when it came to mindset and my own business. And I listened to lots of books about mindset and business success and all of those kinds of things because, I had a parent, my dad growing on up would tell me money doesn't grow on trees, which I understood what he was saying, right? Like money doesn't come easily for people like us, right? And that just isn't true. Money is easy to make. And when I had that mindset that it's hard to make, that's what I was actually living in my life. Like, oh gosh, going to work is so hard and I have to do this and I have to do that. And certainly that was my experience in the school system, right? It was hard. It wasn't easy every single day. And when I started changing my mindset around to that it's easy to be able to make money, it became easier and easier to make money. Now, it's not just a matter of saying that to myself, right? I have to believe it. I have to own it. I have to know it. And so I began really going on into to this mindset because I was in an employee mindset. And an employee mindset and a business mindset are completely different. I can show up to work and get paid, but when I have to start my own business and I have to get my own clients, if I don't work with any clients, I don't get paid that day, right? So I have to figure out what are income producing activities versus what are the activities that my boss tells me I need to do today, right? So I have to start thinking about, okay, what are things that I can do to go on out there and get students? And so I share different strategies with people on how they can do that. And I even have a free download for people, onlinetutorcoach.com/50, where I share 50 plus ways to get online tutoring students. And these are things that you can do that are, local in your area, offline, along with different strategies that you can try that are online as well.
Joanne, I just want to mention something. When you say you show 50 different ways to get students, if a tutor gets 1 student,
I found this on the web.
That's like a repeated sale, which it amazes me because that student is going to come back 10 or 20 or 30 times to put in other hours. So it's almost like selling somebody 30 pens or 30 tires or some other item, perfume or soap, whatever you're selling. So I think the fact that you've already laid this out, gone through it, and been kind enough to author this book, can really save teachers a lot of time and make this financially really rewardable if that's what they're looking for in life. So I'm sorry I interrupted you, but
No.
I think
No,
you
that's
talked about
okay.
mindset
That's okay.
and the system. How about marketing? How do you get your name out there?
Yeah. So there's so many awesome ways that we can get our name out there. I went old school when I got started. I put bandit signs out, and they were just those signs that, like, realtors use. And I put signs out saying, is your child struggling with reading? And I had, a number that they could call me at, and I had people call me. I would put these signs up by schools, and I would put them up in busier areas or wherever I would see other, like, lots of signs. I would put them there. You do have to look at the rules on where they're acceptable and not acceptable to put it. But definitely that helped me get some of those starting students. I ended up putting on the back of my car one of those decals that actually said, struggling with reading, I can help. And there it was. I had so many people in my own neighborhood calling me. And I was like, at one time, I'm like, wow, I have a lot of people in my own neighborhood. I wonder why that is. And then I'm like, you drive in and out of your neighborhood all of the time. And so they see it. It's working. Your car is working, Joanne. Other things that you can do are creating a website, right? And being able to, create content. You can, on your website, create a blog where you're constantly creating, tips and tricks that other people can try to be able to help their child. In the beginning, people might be willing to help their own child out on their own, but then, the frustrations of working with our own child become very high when those emotions start gearing into the mix, right? Our kids can be monsters sometimes when they're working with us one-on-one. But to hire another tutor, sometimes, if I've been getting some good tips on how to help my own child and that person is accepting students, I'm going to be more open to having them work with my child and be like, you know what? I need a break. Here you go.
When you're saying that, I'm thinking of trying to teach a child to drive. You're going to get in an argument. It's not going to work. And you're both going to be fighting with each other. So it makes so much more sense to hire someone to do it, a professional who knows the ins and outs. And you already know where the problem spots are going to be. It's like going on a highway and knowing that there's a pothole or there's a bit of a flood up the road, that this is where children are having problems. So you can address them, spend more time there rather than doing it once and finding out everything for the first time. Joanne, I copied down a statistic from your book, and I think this is amazing. Did I read this correctly? Between 2020 and 2028, so in the next six years, the tutoring business is going to basically triple from $6.5 billion in income to $18.8 billion.
Yeah, incredible, isn't it? And I think here's the big piece of this. This is not a made up statistic. So the statistic is based off of the data that's been collected regarding the industry. And I think people have realized that tutoring isn't just for kids that are struggling. Tutoring is also for kids that are doing well that want to keep their grades. Let's say you have an A student and they're really close to getting a 4.0, but there's one class now they're struggling with. Is a parent going to get their child help if they ask for it? You bet they are. They're going to be like, well, let's do everything we can to keep that A. Come on, we got this. You're seeing more and more kids graduating with 4.0s than have ever graduated with 4.0s. And I think tutoring is a big piece of this.
And knowing those statistics, to me, it's almost like having a stock tip to say, wait, someone told you, and legitimately so, that this stock is very likely to go up for certain reasons. So you know ahead of time, this is a hot market. It's not on the downslope, it's on the upslope. And if you get into it, you can do this. And I think the nice thing for you, and you'll probably agree, is that you can arrange your day. If you want mornings free, or if you want Friday afternoons off to play tennis or golf or just go out and see your kids play soccer, you arrange time as you wish to have it, and yet you have a guaranteed income coming in.
Yeah, and I think this is the sweet spot, right? Because I actually charge my clients by the month, right? So every month I get paid the same amount of money by my particular clients. It's on automatic payment, and I've set it up with automatic payment so that I don't get stiffed, because that did happen sometimes in the early days.
Really?
And I was like,
How shocking.
I need to come up with a way where this does not happen, where I'm not chasing down my money. So I put everybody on auto pay before I even start the tutoring for the month, and it's all good. Well, sometimes there's five Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays in the month, right? And so I get to take those days off, which is awesome. So like this month, my daughter is graduating from boot camp in Oklahoma. So next week we are going to head on off to Oklahoma, and I get to tell my particular clients, hey, you're still going to have the same amount of sessions this month, but I am going to be gone this day, and this day. I'll see you when I get back. And yeah, so there's so much more flexibility inside of there.
And I love that, because one of the things I think people are afraid of with their own business is to ask for payment, whether it's a barber or an auto mechanic. If they're on auto pay, that's it. Once they start, as I understand it, and like you say, you don't have to get involved in it. You don't have to be giving people credit. I think that might be the key that gets people involved. Joanne, before we go further, I want our audience to know that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Bill Horan. Our guest today is Joanne Kaminski. She's the author of How to Start an Online Tutoring Business. Joanne, would you tell us the website and where we can get the book?
Absolutely. So you can go to onlinetutorcoach.com, and that's my regular website. And if you add /book-purchase, you'll be able to learn how you can purchase the book.
And again, Joanna's made all the mistakes. She's very free to tell you that. Just the tips that you're hearing now about the automatic payment, I think that's something every teacher would love, because, again, it's a little embarrassing to have to ask a parent for money and can you wait till next week, etc. This way, it's all done. Everything is finished. And through automation, it makes life a lot easier for everyone. Joanne, you mentioned a study at Yale University in the 1950s. Why do you mention that, and tell us why that's important in your business?
Oh, that's so funny. Can you remind me what the specific
this
one
was
is?
On goals. Goal setting. You talked about it in your book.
Yes. So on goal setting, which is so huge inside of our business, a lot of us don't set goals, right? And so the Harvard University, what they did is they took seniors at the end of their senior year, and they found out what percentage of them had goals and what percentage of them didn't have goals. They kept it that simple. And then they went back, I believe it was 10 years later, and they ended up, finding out which of the people actually met their goals and were happier in life. And the ones that had set goals had actually reached goals and were happier compared to the people that had not set goals. Unbelievable. Like, it comes down to something so simple. We all know we should be setting goals, right? But a lot of us don't. We're just like, yeah, if I could get, a couple of students, that would be great. Or if I could make this much money, that would be great. Like, we don't get specific on our goal setting.
And I want you to know, I took that tip. I have a young nephew. He's 25. He's just starting his career in another field. And I told him about it based on your book. You reminded me, I had heard of that before, but I said to him, take a little time. Nobody else is going to be doing it in your group. You'll be the only one, but in 15 years, you'll be retiring at age 40, and they'll be working for another 40 years. So because he has the mentality to be successful. Joanne, just give our audience what type of income, meaning per hour, and I'm guessing that's what the tutoring sessions are, usually probably an hour. Is that about right?
Yeah, usually it's by hour. Some people do packages. It really depends on which field you're going on into. Like test prep, they'll do packages. But if you're doing things like I do, like reading tutoring, I do per hour. So I started off at $40 an hour, and today I'm making $100 an hour. And I think this is really key, is that people are looking for people that can help you get results. So if you can get results, people are more willing to pay more money if you get results for their child versus, well, let me just hire a tutor and then, hopefully they do good, right? Whereas I let people know, like, here are the results that you'll be able to get, and here's when I expect you to be able to get them by. Once I was able to really get that kind of proof from my past clients that I had, like, over time, I was able to close the gap a full year with 8 to 12 hours of reading instruction with them. And so when I found that out, I was like, okay, I need to be charging more because this is an amazing result.
Joanne, I'm an old math teacher. I started out as a math teacher, and I did the math quickly when you just said those numbers. Basically, at the beginning of the show, I said this was for teachers. I think doctors and lawyers and engineers are going to become tutors, because if I'm doing the math correctly, you're talking about an income of $125,000 to $250,000 just from you alone producing your tutoring at $80 to $100 an hour, which that's the numbers I'm hearing from people roughly in that area. And even if it's a little lower, I think most of us would accept $200,000 a year or 150 or 120 if we're calling our own shots and can do what we want when we want. And we don't have to have a brick and mortar building. We don't have to have a restaurant. We don't have to order. There's so many good things about this that as someone's hearing it, I think they want to take a look and look for their children and maybe even their spouse, and maybe even as a retirement income, that's something they could do then. Can you tell us, in setting up the business, is there anything we should be aware of that we should be hiring a lawyer, an accountant, a professional for, that is really necessary to protect yourself and cover yourself in the event of a problem?
The biggest thing your first year is hire a CPA to do your taxes for you.
Because you're making so much money, really, is that why? Okay.
Really, because you want to make sure that you are taking care of your taxes correctly. You don't want to get in any trouble with the government. You also have to pay quarterly taxes. So begin on paying your quarterly taxes right out of the gate. We made the mistake of not knowing you had to pay quarterly taxes. And you know what they do when you don't pay your taxes on time? They tax you more on that money that you didn't pay. So the amount of money that they would have had, they tax you on that. So we had a lot of money we had to pay. So unfortunately, those kinds of things stink when you don't know them ahead of time. So definitely do that. You do not have to be an LLC or an S Corp in order to start your own online tutoring business. You can be a sole proprietor. So just start with sole proprietor. It is the easiest method of starting a business. It doesn't require you to get a business name or doing business as. You can just do business as yourself. And really, at the end of the day, that's what you are. You are a professional freelance tutor who has their own business. And in the end, if you decide that you do want to scale and hire other tutors, you can begin doing that as time goes on and adding more services to your business. But really, the big thing in the beginning for you to know is definitely take a look at getting a CPA to do your taxes for you.
Joanne, you've been great. I think you're making a lot of converts. You talked about network marketing. I think you're going to have them lined up at your door after this show because you've given us an area to look into, something people can enjoy and control their time and their income, which is great for all of us. Thank you so much. I want to remind our audience, the book is called, I'm looking at the wrong page here, How to Start an Online Tutoring Business by our guest, Joanne Kaminski. The website, real quick.
OnlineTutorCoach.com.
Thanks for being with us today, Joanne. We'd like our audience to know that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at the same time when we will continue our journey to success.